All right, everybody, good morning and welcome back to the KSR YouTube channel. It's a beautiful day in Florida. Actually, no, it's not. It's been raining all day. The Gator Nationals are this weekend. There's a cold front coming through. It's been in the 80s all week, but Sunday morning it's going to be 28. That's not what we need to go racing. Unfortunately, it looks like the weather is going to probably postpone or cancel at least a day or two of the Gator Nationals. We're planning to go out there and hang out with Clay Milliken, which you might have seen, he came by the shop. So planning to go out there and hang out with him, do some filming, which will come after this video. Probably, this video will probably come out on Friday. So happy Friday, or happy Saturday, whichever way it comes out on. Anyways, we've got some exciting stuff to show you guys about that's coming for the shop here. Big shop update, like the thumbnail said, but it's actually not here yet. So by the time this video ends, it will be here, or they will be here, and we'll be able to talk about that. But to begin with, we're going to show you some of the stuff that's going on, give you some updates on projects. I think I'm probably going to try and get into like a monthly shop update thing. Those videos seem to do pretty good. You guys like those? They're pretty fun for me to film. Kind of just shows what we're doing, shows off some of the guys' work, stuff like that. So let's get through the intro. See you back in just a second. All right, well, while you're here, please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to bring you guys some exciting stuff, show off some of the work we're doing in the shop. We've got some fun stuff coming up with Cletus and Cars down at Bradenton. Tickets are available for that. And there's also the Freedom 500 coming up, which I won last year. There's quite a bit of impressive drivers coming to this one, but we're gonna do our best, try to be in it at the end. If you didn't see on Cletus's channel, there will also be other races at the Cletus and Cars around the country. And there's gonna be a point series, which I kind of have my eye on that. I'd like to think I can do pretty well in that throughout the whole year. Sometimes being consistent throughout the year is better than winning or crashing. So yeah, if you guys can make it to any of those events close to you, we'd love to see you out there. We will have our merch stuff at every one of the Cletus and Cars events this year. At least that's the current plan. So yeah, let's get to what's going on in the shop. Oh, and if you need merch and you're not going to an event, winwithksr.com. There's a merch tab and you can click and buy some merch, like all the different things we've got from, oh, this is the Give Me All the Data shirt. We've got, you know, hats, beanies, hoodies, lots of t-shirts, stickers, all kinds of fun stuff. So anyways, we got CJ over there. Yep. Hey, CJ. So CJ's bolting in the handle for the parachute pack in Steve's, which that video has probably already come out. Maybe not though, I don't know. Drew has wrapped up basically all of the work on this old C10 here. And no, this is not Mike Finnegan's C10, for those of you that have been asking. Obviously, there's no roll cage coming through the back. There's no independent rear suspension. And it does have a similar engine to Finnegan's though, with the supercharged LT4. And we thought we were done with this after we finished the job. Contacted the owner, and they also wanted us to add a heat exchanger for the intercooler system that is in the factory blower. So we ordered some fittings to adapt this to AN. You see we've run that around, kind of hid the pump as best we could because the battery box goes over this. And it gets a little busy right here, not gonna lie. So you might, one thing that might jump out at you as being a question mark is why we would have the outlet to the pump and the inlet or the return back so close to each other. Well, on the back side of this bung, there's actually a tube that turns the water and brings it up to the top so that the cold water can stay on the bottom. And this water is returning after it's already been through the heat exchanger, which you can see we mounted up here at the very front. Welded some brackets onto it. and got her all mounted up there on some nice bushings, and then actually welded brackets to mount it to the AC condenser. So this tank goes out under the fender here, so that we've got basically 2 gallons of intercooler water in the tank itself, and we put a large enough lid on here that if they really wanted to go make some big power and get some super cold air inlet temps, they can fill that up with ice. So that would work out good for making a pass at the track, making some hero dyno passes, because the colder you get the air going into the motor, the more aggressive you can do with the tune, and the more power you can make. So something like this may not look super complicated. It's just some pieces, a box, but you can kind of see how it fits the profile of the fender nice. All of this stuff being hidden down here. And then we've got the pump, the bracket here. So because this pump only has a barb fitting, so we machined a piece to accept the push hose there, and then we wanted to do the AN style fittings from there on out and have some consistency there. So we did this bracket here that's got a bung welded to it. These down here will eventually get clamps, but the builder or the owner and the guy that's assembling the truck, they've got to take all this back apart because they're going to be painting and powder coating and doing everything they've got to do to really make this thing look awesome and, you know, really, really, really nice show truck when this is all done. And it's going to be a fast show truck. So all that's pretty well wrapped up. We did weld this fitting on there for the air meter. We machined a custom piece here to accept the factory push to connect. All right, that's really a tight fit. Hold on, I gotta get 2 hands on that. Oh, I'm pushing the wrong way. Hey, there we go. All right, so you can see that fitting there. We machined up, and just like the factory style one, it goes on there, locks on, can't come off. So that is just some of the little things that might look very simple in the end, but takes a lot of time to plan out and route and get everything set up, you know, the way you want it to be so that it looks really simple when it's done. I mean, when we were working on all this, the entire front of the truck was off. Grill was out, lower bumper, everything, because we've got bulkhead fittings down at the bottom of the core support so that the water can flow through there, and we have the short lines that you know, basically bolt everything together, and not just a hose poked through a hole in the core support that's going to get cut and start leaking and be a big problem. So yeah, that's how some of that goes. The exhaust is all finished up, which you can't even hardly see unless you peek up in the fender, and you can kind of see it sticking out just a teeny tiny bit. The goal here was that the tip of the pipe was also the same angle as the bottom of the fender. When I'll move this Corvette nose real quick. So another thing we were trying to do is to get the look to be equal on the exhaust. Like, I mean, really, really equal. So where the pipes come through on both sides, when you're in the center of the truck and you're at the right angle, like everything looks extremely symmetrical. And took a little bit of time to get that just right on this thing. And the thing with stainless too is if you do not have absolutely perfect fit up on your pipes, what'll happen is you weld one joint and then it moves a little bit of that joint, and 2 feet away where you've got more pipes, that now has moved 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch. And when you're trying to pass through a frame rail like we did on this truck underneath it, where the exhaust actually goes through the frame rails, sometimes you got to go back and remake a pipe or two. So that brings us to the last couple of cars we've got here in the shop for immediate work. And that's Spencer's, which you can see we've set it up on our kind of makeshift little chassis jig. It's completely disassembled. Most of this is going to get cut off. and it will be a tubular setup on the front. We're actually going to cut out a lot of this, and where the roll cage bar, there's an acorn, where the roll cage bar comes through to wrap around to the frame rail, there will be a hoop that goes around the shock tower. Reason for that is so we can jack the car up and reach straight through the fenders to do spark plugs or tighten the header bolts. Anything we can do to open up some room there is a good thing. So we've got a whole bunch of parts coming in for that. Actually have some wheels on order. Spencer picked out some Billet Specialties wheels. So we will be getting those kind of mocked up under the car, and then we are gonna order in a rear end housing from TRZ Motorsports. And it's gonna be a pretty trick piece, because this car it's gonna be a drag and drive car. It's got a 427 Texas Speed under the bench down there. Actually got some oiling system parts ordered for that. Oil pan, pickup, windage tray, little different things that we're gonna be doing. And we're gonna be doing the oiling system kind of unique in this thing. So it's got a power glide, it's gonna have a gear vendor's overdrive. Yeah, lots and lots of stuff. We plan to do a full build on this thing, so you'll be able to go back through and watch everything we do on this car. But there's a lot of parts on order for this one. One that we hope to not have here too long is Grant's C6 Corvette. Actually, I think it's a C5 Corvette with some C6 parts in it. Yeah, that's what it is. So Grant owns the two Miatas that you guys have seen in the background that are in the back room. Grant actually rents some storage space from us here, and he kind of maintains both of his Miatas, and they road race quite a bit with those. So this car is being built for some endurance road racing, just like they do with the Miatas. And it's here for us to do a roll cage, mount the roof, which that's actually a carbon Kevlar roof panel. There's a hatch that's the same. It will have, you know, like optic armor style windows in it. And Grant and Chuck are masters of taking every ounce of weight out of the car that doesn't need to be there. It's one of the reasons why their silver Miata, when it finishes the race, they are typically on the podium, and they have won quite a few races with it. And the races they are attending are races that have 50 to 90 other entrants into the race. So those guys are killer behind the wheel, and they're very good at also building and finishing a car setup. So like I said, we've got roll cage to do on that. We may be doing something with some front end work as far as replacing the factory fenders and nose piece. We'll have to see maybe about that. Got some things talking about with Grant. But here's something just to show you what Grant is up to. So factory bumper support for the Corvette. He found some C-channel that was the right dimensions, or actually I guess it's box tubing. And then he had it cut and epoxied. So now instead of that being like an aluminum support for the front end, it's all carbon fiber. All about saving weight. Anytime you can make a race car lighter, it's gonna do everything better. It's gonna accelerate better, it's gonna stop better, it's gonna turn better, it's gonna use less fuel, it's gonna use less brakes. So speaking road racing wise, it should kind of be an obvious, but especially when they're doing these endurance racing type deals, a lot of the race is about managing your consumables in the car. So the funny thing about this car is it won't have a super crazy engine in it, because like I said, they need to balance performance with fuel economy. So I know about the power range that they're targeting, which should make a light car pretty quick, but it's not going to be some 600 horsepower big dog crazy stroker LS engine. They're actually putting a D-stroke 6.0 in the car. So 4.8 crankshaft inside of a 6.0 block. And they have a horsepower target that will work out in their favor for the weight classing for the car. So a lot of the road racing series, they do horsepower to weight. So say if a car makes 600 horsepower, it might have to weigh 3,500 pounds. So if you make 300 horsepower, you might be able to weigh 2,200 pounds, something like that. But Grant and Chuck are great at optimizing the car for the rules. And this one will be exciting. Actually, this car years ago was Grant's street car. And if you can tell by just looking at that sucker, no, you can't from that side. There we go. So that's a pretty meaty tire for the back of a Corvette. Somewhere on here, so that's 335, 30, 18. To fit that, we actually cut here and widened the factory wheel tubs, and this is all fiberglass. So we actually fiberglass wheel tubs in to widen the wheel tubs so that that big old tire would fit. And it's a little bit hard to tell, but these are widened factory wheels. So they actually cut the wheel, widen the barrel, weld it all together and balance it, true it up, all that fun stuff. We actually did these custom shock mounts up here last year to tuck this little shock up at a very specific height. You can maybe kind of see in there, it's the shock head actually goes up into the bracket, and these tabs are as short as they can be, and you still get tools on them to be able to tighten the bolt that holds them in. Lots of little tiny optimizations can lead you to having a very quick race car. All right, so another project you may have seen in the background that we've got to work on is this SN95 Mustang. I don't know all the different Mustangs. It's not a Fox body, and it's not the retro style looking Mustang, but it is LS powered, and it is a drag week car, or will be, but it's owned by Donnie, and Donnie's got a big pile of parts that we've got to install on this, get it running, get it tuned. Pretty rowdy, naturally aspirated LS engine. So he's got some pretty big goals for this thing, for how it's going to run on motor. And if it happens, it's going to be a pretty sporty ride. So CJ's actually pulling the transmission out right now because the transmission's hitting the floor. Transmission is a Reed case 4L80, so the aftermarket case is a little bigger. The vent line is in a different spot than stock, and it has an AN fitting sticking out of it now instead of just a little tube. And that means it's hitting the floor. So can't really tell where it's hitting the floor while we're down here, but we've got a huge list of stuff to do to this thing. I mean, a big list. We got exhaust, we've got cooling lines, we've got a complete wiring harness, a complete suspension setup, alignment, fuel system, mounting the bumper, mounting the transmission cooler, making the transmission fit, like CJ said, that he's already working on. Build a cold air intake that'll probably come out here. We're thinking about coming out and going out into the fender, kind of like they did in stock form. Lots of stuff. Wire the fans, wire the water pump, plumb the catch tanks, which we got a little bit of work to do there. Got an idea on that, but we'll see how if my idea works out like I think it's gonna. Yeah, pretty big project, but should be pretty cool. The goal is to get it done for Rocky Mountain Race Week, the first one that's coming up. I think it's about 2.5 months out, if I'm remembering right. Yeah, Drew's over there destroying a Corvette. I mean, that's kind of what we do to some of these things. We take them down to almost nothing and then we build them back. So, let's show you the last thing we've got to show you for this shop update video. All right, well, I promised you one more update before we finalize this video. And you might can look around and tell I'm not at the shop. but I almost am. Oh, you can't see it in the light. Anyways, my truck is right there. So I'm over at my neighbor's business right next door. They warehouse and store and ship a lot of carpet and other flooring supplies for local contractors. And the reason I'm over here is because I needed them to store something for us until we could get it installed in the shop. What might that be? Well, hiding over here in these 4 pallets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Are 4 new bend pack 2-post lifts. We are upgrading the shop lifts. Gonna be getting rid of the 2 that are in the shop now. Installing these, which will allow us even greater productivity. And we're actually gonna be hiring somebody else here, a guy we've been talking to a little bit here and there. So we're gonna be bringing somebody else on board, as well as cranking out a bunch more work, which is gonna make me have to work even harder keeping up with content and all the craziness we've got going on over there. But yes, we are very excited to install these lifts. They are bend pack XPR-10ASs. Took us a little while to get them because, you know, a lot of things right now in the manufacturing world are just behind schedule. But that's the way of the world right now. But we've got some. We're getting ready to put them in. Probably gonna happen within the next couple of weeks. But yes, it's super exciting. Super exciting. Working in 2 lifts is okay, but having 4 lifts is even better. All right, so that's gonna wrap up this video. Thank you again for watching and subscribing. I can't tell you guys just how awesome it is to have, you know, people that most of you will never get the chance to meet, but we thank each and every one of you for watching, following along and commenting and liking and sharing the videos. It's been something I never thought I would get to experience in my life. We're gonna keep bringing you guys as much content as we can for as long as we can. So now that I said that, I'm gonna get back over there and work on another video. See you guys next time.